Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years. It's Parrish. It's Spencer. It's the P.O.S Show on Love Wrestling. Good morning. Hello. Welcome to what is going to be un-P.O.S Show, I suppose. We're either going to go with the J-O-S or the S-O-J. We're calling it on the fly, as they say in professional wrestling. Joined this morning on our regular prediction stream by Mighty Joe Morin. Joe, it's good to see you. I always feel like every Sunday now, it's fun to have the conversation of like, what's happened in the last 6 hours since I saw you. But it's good to see you again this morning, friend. How are you doing? And of course, how are you doing, JJ? And how are you doing, Sandy? Good to see some friends in the chat already. Good to see some friends on screen. And good that we will be having a WWE pay-per-view tonight. Ed, unfortunately, no Parrish. There have been some technical difficulties, as I believe they say in the industry. I'm not good enough in the industry to make that claim, though, so say Livy. But, Joe, good to see you, man. How are you feeling headed into WrestleMania season?
Still in WrestleMania season, but since we were just on here last night, and I've got the stats in front of me. I actually went out for a 3.33 kilometer walk, and I only burned 400 calories. I don't know how that works, but I feel like I burned a lot more than that. But
let me tell you, man, you went 3.3 more kilometers than I went this morning.
But I feel pretty good, and just get immediate good vibe off that intro. A little known fact about me: I'm actually a believe it or not, people's heads will probably explode on this, but I'm actually a big fan of jazz music, so I love that intro, and it gives me kind of an upbeat kind of feeling, and I'm cautiously optimistic about tonight's pay-per-view.
I feel like that's almost the worst way I can approach a pay-per-view is cautiously optimistic, because I say it before, I'm sure I'll say it again here in the future, but when you're heading into a pay-per-view, whether the build's been that great, which we've seen in the past, maybe there have been some poor builds, I might say. Pay-per-views tend to deliver, though, just on the fact that everybody signed to a major promotion at this point has some sort of talent, has some sort of reason to be there. So I'm excited. Cautiously optimistic, I think, is a very good way to put it. Yeah. I almost think that both for the marketing purposes of it, but also for the fact that this pay-per-view is very WrestleMania centric, almost closing out all of the WrestleMania. So yeah, that's exactly it. So I feel like this is the closing of that chapter. Sandy throwing his early prediction in. We're going to talk about the Universal Championship match near the end of the show. We like to save our championships as often as possible for the proverbial main event slot of the show. And JJ throwing out just a handsome looking emote there.
What do you before we kind of get into the actual show here, Spencer? I think an important topic to kind of hit on here is that I think the name of the pay-per-view seems to be getting more hoopla and more attention than the actual match card here. That seems to be the case. That people are just losing their minds. The fact that they're calling WrestleMania Backlash. I get it to a certain extent, but I think people are too hung up on that. To be perfectly honest with you.
I don't disagree. Like
Yeah.
it's marketing. It is what it is. And everybody knows in professional wrestling, whether it's over the top in a very positive way, over the top in a ridiculous way, over the top in an eye for an eye match, there's always going to be that over. You know what I mean? That over the top, that over unnecessary in some cases. WrestleMania Backlash, much like the greatest wrestling match ever, no need to put stock in a name. You know what I mean? I'm excited for Backlash, and I don't think there's anybody out there. If you're picking on that phrase, it's a bit of a silly bone to pick, I think. But what's your early prediction before we get into the actual conversation here? And of course, friends, feel free to throw your predictions in as well, whether you're watching on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, or if we're being torrented somewhere. That's a bit of a compliment. Somebody thinks we're worth it. Feel free to throw your thoughts in as well. But Joe, I'll turn to you first. What is your early prediction for match of the night? What are you maybe most interested in heading into WrestleMania Backlash?
For me, my early prediction for match of the night has got to be, I think the program, the matchup that they've had the best build for, and that's Roman and Cesaro.
Yeah,
I think hands down. Like, I mean, there's some other good stuff here potentially, but I think that there's some of these are going to be like continuing on storylines. And this very well could be that too, but I think it's still going to probably be the best match of the night. And like I said, it's had not even, I don't think it's even arguable that it's had the best build so far.
I'm so excited, man. And there's so many layers to it. You see the almost complaint, which is odd that like, oh, bringing in Jimmy into this and making the storyline about that is somehow a detriment to the Universal Championship. No, like it's again, another touch point on what is the focal point of course, SmackDown on Friday nights. I'm excited for the entire card, man. Just to pick a different match than you, because that's probably the one I'm most looking forward to as well. But man, don't sleep on Bianca and Bayley. Like they've delivered before. They've had some fantastic matches. And I am so excited for them to head into this after Bianca's sort of had that. Not that she needed another, for lack of a better way to put it, star-making moment. Everybody knew that she was a star heading into WrestleMania season. But like to get that WrestleMania win, to be on really the hottest run of what has been a great career so far. And then Bayley's Bayley. Like, I don't think anybody needs to make the case that she's one of the best professional wrestlers in the world right now. Maybe been a little underutilized heading into WrestleMania, and someone who was like perhaps the biggest crime left off of the WrestleMania card, but real excited for this one. Excited for this one. Ed hopping in as well and agreeing. I love the Jimmy J. Roman story, but hopefully Cesaro has a killer performance to stand out. If I was a betting man, and the only bets that I will make involve championship belts, as we have here on the P.O.S Show, if I was a betting man, Cesaro will deliver at a pay-per-view. That might be the easiest money that I would ever make. That guy is, he's incredible. I don't think I need to speak to how good Cesaro is as a pro wrestler. But we are going to a little later on in the show. Like we said, we're going to save that one for about the main event segment, I suppose they call it. But let's hop in with Damian Priest versus The Miz. I think it's a good starting point, despite the fact that, of course, they've wrestled to death over the last few months, whether it's been in tag team matches, whether it's been at WrestleMania, of course, with the match with Bad Bunny and John Morrison involved as well. I've really got to hope that this is the end for this one. And I've really got to hope that, like you hear from the rumors of it, Damian Priest moves up into a main event or moves into feud with Sheamus after this or something along those lines. Because, man, admittedly, when he first signed with NXT and WWE, wasn't the most thrilled with how he was first brought out there. I loved me some Punishment Martinez. I thought when he first came in, he was like a vast departure from that. But even now, like he's a departure from that, but in a very cool way. I've loved him. I've absolutely loved him. You know, it's cliche to say, but put the title on him, brother. You know, says me, the wrestling historian, to put it in the positive sense. What are your thoughts heading into this match? And I'll let you be the first. Well, I guess I kind of gave my shot there, so I'll let you throw your prediction as well. I'm going Damian Priest.
I'm in the same boat as you. I was a big Punishment Martinez fan. Typically, I'm not the biggest fan of these big guys doing all of this spinny flippy kind of stuff. It can be a little much for a big dude, and there can be a huge margin for injury as well with that too. But yeah, man, like I just said, what concerns me slightly, if this is the blow-off match, to have it be a gimmick style match and have it be a lumberjack match, this feels like that would be more of like a continuation of a build, but not the culmination of a rivalry, right? But we'll see how as long as it plays out of where like we're not letting the Miz escape. Like you got to have him be like the chicken shit heel, constantly trying to escape, and these lumberjacks just keep pitching him back in there and throwing him to the big dog. And I don't mean Roman Reigns. I'm talking Damian Priest. So that's how I think the match should play out. And if that's the case, then I will be highly entertained if that's the case. Watching the Miz getting beat up by everybody makes for a happy Mighty Joe.
Don't disagree with you there, man. I think that they're hopefully going to use this to continue to build this dissension we're seeing between Morrison and The Miz. I've loved them together. I think that they get a lot of unnecessary flack. Yeah, there are definitely some goofier segments than I would like sometimes, but that happens everywhere, right? Like John Morrison versus The Miz, that is a match that I would love to see at SummerSlam if I was being very picky and I don't even think overly optimistic. I think that that's a match that WWE would want to do too. They would be great against each other. I admittedly don't know if they've ever wrestled against each other, but I could be wrong there. I'm just trying to remember and improvise on the spot before I get called out in the comments, and rightfully so.
Yeah, if somebody knows if
the feud ended when a celebrity bunny pinned two-time former WWE champion at WrestleMania. That's astute. That's a very astute point. Miz is a true Hall of Fame performer. You won't get any argument from me on that end. You really, really won't. That guy's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Hopefully his next reign's more than 8 days, and hopefully he defends it well next time. However, of course, we got 1 point for a victory, 1 point taken away for a loss or an incorrect prediction. I'm going to predict for the extra bonus point here, Joe. John Morrison is somehow going to cost the Miz in this, like whether he's the lumberjack who throws him back in, or whether he I don't know, is the only guy aligned with the Miz in there and everybody beats him up, distracts him for a lot, whatever. I think that John Morrison's directly going to play into that.
Interesting. I would agree to a certain extent too, but I just have a feeling that, like I said, my scenario will play out, and then the Damon Priest, Parchment Martinez, whatever you want to call him, I think he just pins him flat out clean in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, you'd hope so too. That'd be an even better, well, not an even better feud ender. That'd be almost a more decisive feud ender than a celebrity rabbit. We'll move on from there to the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. We got the Dirty Dogs, Bobby Roode, good Canadian boy. I will always shout out. And Dolph Ziggler facing off with the father and son team of the Mysterios. Excited, I suppose. I'm a little surprised that, like, again, it's maybe just my dislike of the fact that they did that fatal four-way on SmackDown prior to WrestleMania.
Yep.
I would have loved to have seen Rey and Dom win this thing in front of individuals at WrestleMania in a fatal four-way tag team matchup. It didn't happen. They didn't even win that match that they were involved in. I think they win tonight, but am I as excited as I was a couple of weeks ago? Not particularly. I'm on record and I'm standing by it. I think that they're going to win it today. I think that they're going to develop some dissension, and Dominic Mysterio is going to turn on Rey Mysterio at SummerSlam.
Interesting.
That's my theory. We can put a pin in that one though.
Mine is kind of a variation of that, even though, but I think the result will be different. I do think that they will win the titles, but at SummerSlam. I think this is more kind of a stepping stone. We might start to see a little bit of dissension, or something might happen here, but I think the proper payoff for this, just given, like, seriously, I mean, the investment not only in Rey Mysterio but Dominic. I mean, he literally grew up on most of our televisions, stuff with Eddie Guerrero and all that stuff. We've all seen that, and people are
real dad
in that, and people want to be there in person to witness when it happens. So,
fair point.
I do agree that they will win the titles, but I think it happens once we have our fans back in the arenas.
Good to see you, Kay Faber. It's great to see you, my friend. If you guys want to support another good individual doing things in Alberta, Western Canada, and Colin 3 counts while he does it, there is your individual. Head his way as you head back to Love Wrestling for our predictions here on the P.O.S Show. I really like watching Dom get his butt kicked. Give me the dogs. Yeah. It's a really odd sentence still to say, but he's really good at getting his ass kicked. And that, my friend, is talent in and of itself. Storm Wrestling Academy grad as well. There's another Canadian. You can always find the 6 degrees of separation. Can't remember how many degrees there are. There's always a Canadian degree of separation in there, though. Ed, I don't disagree with you here. And Joe, I'll let you pick up on her. The next tag champs on SmackDown should be the Usos. You can have it a heel base Usos beat, the Dogs. I don't know.
Yeah.
They'll win them sooner rather than later, but I hope they stretch out this, I've just loved what they're doing. I've loved what they're doing sort of in this will they or won't they? Are we going to get the Jay Jimmy singles match? I've loved it so far. So do I want to see them reunite? Not particularly yet.
Yeah, because I do think, and I do feel Ed on this one. And for me, like when it comes to the best tag team, actual tag team in WWE, I think the Usos are not one of the best. I think they're the best tag team that they have. When Usos are running at full tilt, and when they're both healthy, it's really, really hard to argue against them or to pick against them. I mean, they're that damn good.
Oh yeah, no one will argue that. Like they've got to be, and there are definitely a few teams in contention for this. But like, if you're not talking about them as one of the greatest tag teams of the 21st century, I respect your opinion. I respect your right to say it, but I will humbly disagree with you on that end of things. Joe, any other thoughts on the old Dirty Dogs taking on the Mysterios?
At the end of the day, I'm not going to be disappointed by whoever wins this. I'm a fan of all the people that are involved.
The real winner is us, the fans.
Exactly right. I've been a big Bobby Roode fan from his TNA days, from his Impact days. I mean, just he's a guy that you had hinted at there, Spencer, that he's somebody that's maybe unappreciated, but I think maybe not quite used to his full potential. Because I really do think that he might not be I'm going to hold the world championship for multiple years kind of guy, but he's like somebody I almost liken him to Sean Spears, to where he's really, really good, but his ceiling isn't maybe quite as high as some others will be.
I don't know, and again, it's always
reliably give you a top notch match when he's called upon.
Yeah, see, it's definitely my Canadian bias for it, but Bobby Roode, I even still remember the first night he came into NXT and watching the way that he just played with the crowd, and he literally came in as a face and just masterfully turned it around into just being the douchey, arrogant Bobby Roode that we all know and love to hate, for lack of a better way to put it. I think the guy's an incredible talent. I'm glad he's got a title on him. I think that guy should always have a title on him. Beer money for life. I still want James Storm to come back to WWE. That was supposed to happen post-WrestleMania 36. At least Storm was supposed to come to WWE for some spot appearances, but beer money, if we're talking about all-time great tag teams too. There we go. The Usos are one of the great teams of all time in my book. Joe, you're one of the all-time great guys in my book. Don't forget to tune into the War Report. Don't forget to tune into Between Two Beards and everything else the JPJ's got going on. I got to laugh. Sorry, Zach, I haven't found a good spot to work this in, so I just wanted to give you a good shout on that one for Dom Mysterio. Nicely played. Well played. I appreciate that one. Let's tackle off one more before we take the quick break. It is a Sunday morning at 11:20 a.m. Mountain Time, 1:20 a.m. PM. Time zones screw me up, but I ain't that bad. 1:20 p.m. over on the Eastern time zone. So we want to make sure that whether it's a coffee, a mimosa, anything in between, that you guys have the opportunity to refill. So we are going to chat about the Raw Women's Championship match, the triple threat between Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Charlotte Flair. Then we're going to throw a quick little exclusive your way. It's not really WWE related. It's WWE adjacent for sure, but that'll be coming up in about 10 minutes here if Joe and I are anything to go by as far as our tendency to be opinionated on pro wrestling sometimes. Yep. I'm excited for this one. I'm real excited for this one. And I know that there has been the criticism, and personally, I wasn't a huge fan of 2 of their 3 matches, of Rhea and Asuka maybe not having the best chemistry is the word that people are using. Regardless though, I'm always going to be excited for an Asuka match. I'm always going to be excited for an Asuka match. Charlotte Flair, she's Mount Rushmore as far as I'm concerned already. I don't even think that's a hot take. I think that's just a take a lot of people would side with me on. And Rhea Ripley, I really hope here that they start to use this to really define her as a babyface or a heel. I thought it was really, really odd. And I get that they had to pivot. I don't ever want to discredit the fact that WWE like literally had 3 Raw Women's Championship matches completely fall out because of things happening. But Rhea Ripley going from like heel to face to sort of walking that line, like she's so great at being a heel or a face that I just want, and it's selfish, I know, but like pick the lane, go hard after it. The best way to do it for me, and Joe, I'll give my prediction right off the bat, is have Rhea Ripley chase Charlotte Flair for the Raw Women's Championship. And I think you start that sooner rather than later. And for that reason, Charlotte Flair leaves WrestleMania Backlash with the Raw Women's title. Interesting. I'm throwing that one. I'm throwing that one out there for sure. Before I get to you, we'll throw out to Kevin. Ripley's my pick. Love her work. I absolutely love her work. I don't disagree with you there at all. This is something I 100% back. Whoever wins it won't be Asuka, I don't think. Definitely certain Asuka is taking the pin. Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's the way I see it playing out too. Somebody's got to do it. It just sucks that it's a personal favorite. And yeah, Brian, I wish Storm would join WWE and join Root again. I want beer money. They're two of my favorite things. Joe, to you, my friend, on the triple threat for the Raw Women's title.
I want to break down all 3 of these individuals before I give my pick here. I mean,
break it down.
Charlotte Flair. I mean, she's Charlotte Flair. I mean, she has all the gifts and all the advantages that you would want in professional wrestling, and she can back it up in the ring. Asuka, it took me a long time to come around and become a fan of hers. It took watching a lot of Stardom, mainly like Momo and Saya and the recently deceased Hana Kimura, to really kind of get fully invested in Asuka. But I get it now. I understand the Japanese style of women's wrestling. Rhea Ripley, I mean, one of the best that they have right now. She's still a kind of work in progress. But the thing to keep in mind too is she's an entirely homegrown talent. I mean, she's entirely a WWE product. I mean, she came in literally as like a blonde bombshell kind of character. If you look back on some
that transition, the first Mae Young Classic, and she was still really good then too. But like,
and then now we've done like a complete 180 on the character, and then they've both been fantastic. Yeah. I want to kind of agree with you, Spencer, because I mean, typically, in the business of professional wrestling, the money is in the chase. For a babyface to chase a heel for a title, a lot of money and attention can be had there. But at the same time, I feel like it's a little too early, I think, to take it off to take it off her. But this is one of those ones too, where I mean, whoever wins this, like, I'm not really going to be disappointed because I've become a fan of all 3 of these, and so, like, for me, like I said, it's really hard for me to pick. I want to agree with you, but my heart makes me want to pick Rhea Ripley. So that's
my heart, my friend, will go on, as Celine Dion put ever so eloquently.
My gut feeling.
Going with the gut, why not? It is a great thing to do because it served me well. Unfortunately, it didn't serve me well in the last edition of the P.O.S Show, as Parrish is currently holding the title hostage, it seems, but c'est la vie. Brian hopping in. I can see that too. Charlotte should win and have Rhea chasing Flair. I think at some point they do have to do that. And again, just going back to what Triple H said almost a year and a half ago now at this point, long-term storytelling, we're all going to see how it plays out and whether or not it should have happened earlier or not, whether or not these are even related statements or instances, I really couldn't obviously comment on, but like, there has to be that story based on how both Charlotte and Rhea lost the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah.
Right? Like, as soon as Charlotte lost the title with Rhea getting pinned, there was, like I said, that quote from Triple H, well, we'll all see how it plays out, or it's all long-term storytelling, or however it was phrased. Now we'll finally get that opportunity, I think. Wouldn't be mad, though, if Rhea won. I will never be mad with a Rhea Ripley win. Her winning the NXT Women's title was easily one of my favorite NXT moments, like ever. So cool. Justice for Parrish. Yeah, he's got a championship. Justice for Spencer. Justice for me.
Or for me.
Parrish is, well, no, you know what, Mighty Joe, you're sus after our game's on Friday night.
I'm always I took over that title because Spencer was, for those who have watched the Blowing Up stream, by the way, you can always catch it on late Saturday evenings over on our Twitch channel. Shameless plug. Spencer was like always sus, but it seems like the rules are reversed, that I'm the one that gets thrown into the proverbial bus now.
Reese. Justice for me. Thank you. I'll call that emoting. Is that what the kids are doing nowadays? It'll be like planking.
I think that's what the children are saying.
Do you remember planking? What a stupid phase that was.
Weren't there a lot of
guys just like
involved with planking?
I know there were at least a few, because there were people that would like do it on tops of buildings and things like that. And like, I'm just a skittish dude. Like, I like a thrill as much as anyone. Don't get me wrong, but like something where my first thought is like, oh, I could fall off this ledge. Not my scene. However, planking, I know, right? We're certainly dating ourselves there. However, we've talked a couple of times about great Canadians in the show. Like I said, it's sort of WWE adjacent. We've talked a lot about the women over the last couple of minutes. We're going to continue, because immediately coming back from our break, we're going to chat about the SmackDown Women's Championship match between, of course, Bianca Belair and Bayley. But before we get to that, that was 4 B's in that sentence in a row, and I got through it flawlessly. That was nicely done. Hey, Joe, do we want to become famous? No, we don't. If there's a mod in the chat, please throw that. I really don't know who. There we go. Nightbot coming to the rescue. Finally did something right, other than just screwing Parrish's links up. Either way, we're going to get back to that in a second. Before that, though, I'm sure everybody is as excited about Women's Division Wednesday, the upcoming women's tournament in Ring of Honor, and I had the privilege of speaking with Maria Kanellis-Bennett recently. That interview is coming out tomorrow, and as I mentioned, when we're talking about good Canadians, great Canadians, legendary Canadians, as I called her in my interview with her, Lufisto certainly fits that bill on good Canadian. So I talked to Maria about whether or not we could see an appearance from the Queen of the Death match coming up in the Ring of Honor Women's Tournament. Stay tuned. It's about a minute, and then we will be back with the P.O.S, the J.O.S, the S.O.J, whatever we're calling this show, right here on Love Wrestling. Completely agree. And one other individual that I do specifically have to ask on, and I'm certain you won't be able to tell me either way, but, you know, every Monday I notice that Lufisto's out there tweeting about Watch ROH, and I also know that you've talked very, very highly of her in the past, so maybe, again, take me through her influence on women's wrestling and yourself specifically, but is there maybe some room for a good Canadian in the ROH women's division?
All right, this is another COVID thing. So COVID has put a lot of dampers on a lot of things. So I don't know.
Yeah.
That is the honest to goodness truth. I just don't know. Do I think that she's an asset to women's wrestling? Of course I do. I think that she is one of the best kept secrets in women's wrestling ever. She is highly talented, been in the ring with so many talented women, helped the careers of so many women. And I think now is a fantastic opportunity for her to shine. Mm-hmm. Can that be possible? I don't know.
Yeah.
If I could have like a magic wand and like be like, and you're in the tournament. Yes. Yes, that's great. Maybe we should call Harry Potter. But
and I was going to say it turns into a lot more than a 16-person bracket at that point too.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have 32, but it's not going to happen. If I had all the international girls, you know, I'd be pulling from all over, but I can't. I don't know. So we'll just keep it as I don't know. I'm trying really hard to get, but I can't fight the government. So like, it is what it is.
I've heard it tends to go pretty poorly from all of the stuff that's occurred over the last little bit, but I digress. Bazinga, we got an insurrection joke in there. Try fitting those into professional wrestling interviews every so often. Admittedly, been made a little easier over the last few months. But again, I will digress on that. We are not a political show. The P does not stand for politics. It stands for parish. It stands for peace in some instances. But right now, it stands for pleasure, because I am joined by Mighty Joe Morin, having a blast chatting professional wrestling with him. And hopefully tomorrow, Joe, you are going to have as much fun as hopefully Ed does tuning into that interview with Maria Kanellis. We're going to give you an opportunity to chat about Turnbuckle Rewind a little later in the show. As always, we're going to preview what you guys can expect coming up from Love Wrestling. But before that, let's chat about what you guys can hopefully expect, because one of us wants to be a champion at the end of the day, from WrestleMania Backlash. As promised, we're going to chat about the SmackDown Women's Championship match between Bianca Belair and Bayley. This is going to be a banger. To continue along the B theme with it, Joe, I'll let you get in first, because I feel like I was pretty selfish in that first half of giving my opinion.
No worries, man. You're the host. You're the boss. You get to call the shots. I'm cool with that, man.
Well, now you get the big screen. We'll even her out.
Pleasure to be on, man. Because I totally didn't plan for this today, so it's already been good.
Don't worry, that's usually like the modus operandi. We don't plan for these.
For me, I'm intrigued with this matchup, and what I really want to see out of this is it's pretty well known that I wasn't a big fan of Bayley's heel turn. I thought that could have been done, or it could have been timed better. But this past week on SmackDown, if you guys watched the reaction show, you saw me talk about this with Parrish. That right at the very end of her promo there, they had her on the Titantron, and I really saw a hint at some heel greatness at the very end of that. Like she was like staring down, and I felt like, okay, now I'm really starting to really get that feel that Bayley's starting to turn into that heel. Because at the beginning, it didn't work for me because she was still coming out to the same music, and the psychology of it felt weird. But I can feel like she's finally really starting to embrace that heel character. I really want to see this out of her in this match. Like I want her to go like full out, like bad guy, bad girl character on Bianca, because Bianca's that real true baby face, and then you have that real true heel. I always feel that professional wrestling is at its best when you have the two opposites there, really kind
those
of
like real alignments. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I've got a lot of room for like the proverbial shades of gray in pro wrestling, but you're right. Like as with anything in this business, brother, as again they say in this business, brother, you need to have that sort of buffet of tastes, right? And I completely agree with you. Like when you look at even the main event, or what I'm assuming is going to be one of the main events tonight, because you can't say main event, there's only one. But between that triple threat with Lashley and Strowman and McIntyre, like you almost don't have that in a way, because Bobby Lashley's almost hit that point where people just love him because of how good he is, right? Braun Strowman, same thing. They're trying to push him as a good guy, but he's this middle ground, shades of gray. It's not as clearly defined. I've got no issues with it. It's just not as clearly defined as, like you say, in this match. Hopping in, Mrs. Maniac. Good to see you, Mrs. and Minnie Maniac, or Team Bayley for life. I'm so excited for the day that, and like you say, Joe, I'm loving her as a heel right now. Can't wait for the day that the Bayley buddies come back, if they ever do. Yeah. I absolutely love her. You talk about those all-time great baby faces, and her NXT run is like an all-time great baby face run. Bianca Belair, though, I think she's in the midst of what is going to be one. Because, like, especially like you say, when you start to get fans back in, if it's June, July, August, whenever it may be, I'm sure she's going to carry the championship for a while. And when she hits the ground running, she's already doing great work, and you get fans in front of her. Like, to quote the great Cameron Grimes, man, to the moon. Right. Saying that, don't think she's losing this one. Not a chance. And this has been Ike Shades of Gray. Be careful with that use of phrase, Spencer. Do not want to receive a cease and desist next week. Yeah. I just well played. Right. Ding dong, hello. Bianca is winning for me. Joe, are you in the same boat as far as that goes?
I think you have to at this point. Like I said, I hope it's like a really strong back and forth. Like I said, I hope that Bayley really embraces that heel persona. But at the same time, too, like I want Bianca to just whip the shit out of her with that ponytail. Too,
oh man, it's one of the coolest things in wrestling for me. Like one of the coolest little moves, I suppose. It always sounds weird to describe, just like you say, beating the absolute hell out of someone with your hair. Sounds odd to describe as a wrestling move sometimes, but man, like we all saw that welt that Sasha Banks had. Oof. It certainly did not look pretty, to say the least. However, hell of a match. I'm going to go back and watch that one today, to be honest with you. I haven't watched it since Mania.
But yeah, my pick is for Bianca to retain. And I mean,
great call.
And a convincing victory, I hope.
I'm going to throw this one to the fans. We've got two more at least announced matches as of this point. We are at about the 35-minute mark, so we've got time to continue. So if you guys want to talk about Roman Reigns versus Cesaro, feel free to throw it out there. If you want to talk about Lashley versus McIntyre versus Strowman, feel free to throw it out there. let us know. We're happy to chat whenever you guys, or whichever I suppose you guys would like. Joe, while we're waiting on that end, though, give us a shout for Turnbuckle Rewind this coming Wednesday.
I feel like I've gotten the opportunity to plug the hell out of this week, but it's going to be worth it because we're going back to WrestleMania 3. We didn't just have Hogan and Andre on this show. I mean, that's the one that people always seem to think of with WrestleMania 3. But I mean, we also had another one of the best matches of all time. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're talking Macho Man versus Ricky the Dragon Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. It's still, Spencer, one of my favorite matches of all time. And I hope it's other people's favorites too. And it's going to be fun for Carl and myself to break down this match. And just really looking forward to it. It's a match that I don't think I'll ever get tired of watching.
Dude, Mania 3 was just so good. Talk about like obtuse, overly simplistic statements in pro wrestling. But like, it's just so good. It's right up there with like the 2008 SmackDown roster was stacked. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah, we know, quit tweeting it. So good though, for such a wide variety of reasons. It's something I absolutely love, but no one's thrown it out there yet. A little sad about it. So we're going to go with Roman Reigns and Cesaro. What I'm assuming is going to be the main event tonight. As we've talked about, when you've got two world championships, you may as well, if one's going to main event on TV, at least we believe, or on pay-per-view, I believe, let's leave the other one for our main event because, of course, they're equally weighted. Love Wrestling and the WWE are very similarly sized organizations, so they hold equal weight. Let's chat, though, about Roman Reigns versus Cesaro because, like you said, man, it's one of the matches, if not the match, that I'm most excited about tonight. You said right off the bat that it was your match you were most excited for tonight. So, again, man, you've got the big screen. Tell me about it.
This one's going to be a doozy. I mean, there's so much that can kind of go on here. And I think I hinted at the beginning, too, that what I think is going to happen here, dude, I love Cesaro, and I've been a big fan of Roman's moves like that, what he's been doing lately, and the stuff with Paul has been fantastic. And as much as I love Cesaro, as much as it pains me to say this, and I know I'll probably get some heat in the chat and for some other people for this, I may even get it from Spencer, we'll see, but I don't want to put it on Cesaro just yet. Not quite yet.
I know it's the timeline.
We're getting there.
I know it's the timeline I keep going back to, but like SummerSlam, if that's the show that they're going to have the big full-on blast out for, that'd be the perfect place for it. You know, it seems as though those two shows are, if not already, equally weighted, and especially when you're going to have what I would assume, again, is a full house at SummerSlam this year. If you've got the opportunity to have a guy like Cesaro who, like, he's pretty, ironically enough, universally beloved, right? Why not give that opportunity there? There's a lot more room you could play with as far as the Jimmy J storyline, sort of have, I guess, him run the Roman Reigns gauntlet, for lack of a better way to put it. Go through those two, go through, I don't know, Paul, have him wrestle Paul. There's even the story there that they've touched on a little, but they haven't played up a ton in that Cesaro's a former Paul Heyman guy.
And Cesaro is one of these ones, and then this is relatively rare in WWE, at least from my perspective, of somebody that the audience has really and truly and completely embraced and latched onto with Cesaro. Yeah. I mean, people absolutely love Cesaro. They love the character. They love the in-ring work. They love the whole kit and caboodle, so to speak. And it's absolutely fantastic. But having said that, I think you really need to give him that really special moment in front of people. That will just be absolutely tremendous.
Oh, yeah, man. Again, like he's just... You won't find many people, and I'm certain there are, and by no means do I begrudge anyone who's got a conflicting opinion to mine, but like, I haven't found many people who don't like Cesaro. I just really haven't. You know, you find those polarizing, to use the WWE and the wrestling world for it. You find those characters, and like, there aren't many individuals who don't like Cesaro. There just really aren't. The guy's, he's just incredible. He's real incredible. Sandy, summing it up perfectly. Cesaro section for life, 110%. Next time I've got the opportunity to go to a show, whether it's a house show, whatever it may be, I will be taking that one. JJ hopping in as well. The match I'm most looking forward to, Reigns is definitely winning. They've done an okay job with Cesaro, but when he's in the ring with Roman, I can feel that Roman is far away, well and above in believability over Cesaro. I don't disagree with you there. I really don't, but I don't think, and I think you're making the same point. So correct me if I'm wrong here, JJ, but like, I don't think it's anything against what Cesaro or any of the writing or anything in the story. Like, I think this has been done incredibly well. I just think that Roman Reigns right now, and again, this is right up there with 2008 SmackDown roster. The guy is unbelievable right now. He's so good. He's so good. The only complaint that I've seen about anything over the last little bit is that, well, every show opens with Roman Reigns cutting a promo. Well, yeah, but that's also a big reason why he feels so important to every show. Every single show feels important because he kicks it off. He's got, like you say, JJ, that weight behind his name. But Cesaro getting there as well. A great shout from Sandy as well. Or Cesaro wins the Money in the Bank and cashes in on Roman Reigns at SummerSlam.
That I could also see.
I like that. I really like that. It's just like, for me, I always, and it's because I've never even attempted to fantasy book anything like that, but like, it's always harder for me to find ways for baby faces to win than heels to win Money in the Bank. It's just the perfect thing for someone like an Edge or, like, you know, the ultimate opportunists in professional wrestling to use. So I don't disagree. It's just always harder for me to like mentally find ways to get there. I like it a lot. Parrish hopping in. Good to see you, friend. Roman, Rhea, Bianca, Mysterios, Priest, and Lashley. Feel free to hop in if you would like to, my man. The link is in the StreamYard chat, which is French for cat. So it's just in the chat. It is not inside any sort of cat. Yeah. Agree, Spencer. And Roman has more freedom. Cesaro could do more stuff, but WWE doesn't let him. I would speculate that that's true. I obviously can't speak to it whatsoever, but I would have to, at least as an outsider, assume that that's the case as well.
Yep, agreed.
Right. Joe, any final words? Again, I'll give you the opener and closer on the match you're most excited about. I certainly took that on the Bianca and Bayley battle. I'm trying to keep with that B theme there.
Bees. But yeah, man, it's for me. I think this one's pretty straightforward. I think it's going to be a really highly competitive match at this point. Given that it's a pay-per-view, quote unquote, or they're really not technically pay-per-views anymore. They're specials. But given that it is a championship match at a special show, so to speak, I think it is going to be a competitive match. But I still think that Roman wins pretty convincingly. But this isn't the end of it. This is a continuation on. This is long-term storytelling, as you hinted at earlier, and the payoff is further down the road. Because like we said with the women's match, that the money can be in the chase. I think a lot of money and a lot of attention can be had here with Cesaro chasing Roman over a longer span of time, leading to a big payoff at the end in front of actual fans.
Oh yeah, man. It's always tough for me to have to try and use that as the timeline, because you don't ever want to have, like, whether it's a wrestling storyline, anyone's experience, whatever, affected just based on that being it. But like you said, man, it's the perfect opportunity for guys like that to really get that moment, that big moment. Yeah. Brian hopping in with some great points. I think Roman will win it and help build up for a SummerSlam rematch. Cesaro will get screwed over somehow in this match today, but over the weeks, Cesaro's momentum gets going. I think he'll take the title at SummerSlam. You probably have the same opinions as a very handsome man, and the only reason I'll say probably is there's probably people out there who disagree with me saying that I'm handsome, but that's my opinion as well, man. Yeah, me?
I thought maybe you're referring to me. Yeah.
That guy? That guy there, the handsome shirt? We wore the same shirt today. That's why I've got this angled so high. They're great shirts, though. I will say that. Very, very comfortable. If you guys want to get yours, feel free to head through the comments. You guys can find the direct link to lovewrestling.ca/shop, but we'll plug our stuff later. We've got one more match, much like Shawn Michaels did at Crown Jewel. WWE Championship match, Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre versus Brain Strongman. Very excited on this one, to be honest with you. And just for the fact that sometimes pro wrestling is at its best, sometimes it is my favorite when it is just big dudes beating the hell out of each other. Mr. J, it's just great to see you, friend. Disagreeing on all points.
Wow.
That maybe I like a little less, but we'll take it. Whatever Spencer said is incorrect. Yeah, you know what? Usually that's true. Parrish is carrying a championship for a reason. I don't have it here for the reason that I was completely incorrect on the wrong one. So fall in line with Parrish on that one. You'll probably be correct more often than not. It ain't my fault. Ain't my fault whatsoever. It is. I'm just trying to cover for myself. Joe, cover it off there, man. It is your match to chat about. Big men slapping beef is a great place to start. Is that the thoughts that you're having?
Pretty much at this point, man. Yeah, because I mean, you got Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre, and Braun Strowman. This is a really tough one for me because I've been a huge Drew McIntyre fan, since he left WWE and really kind of gained a lot of street cred outside the company, coming back and being like a true legitimate main event guy. I mean, who'd have thought, the guy kind of the odd man out in the 3-man band would come back and just be killing it, but he has. Strowman has come a long way from when he first started just being a lackey in the Wyatt family to a guy that's legitimately over with a lot of people. It's pretty divisive. I think there's some people that are kind of down on him at the same time. And I mean, there's Bobby Lashley. I mean, here's like a legit tough guy, MMA guy, but I mean, is like almost a perfect hybrid. Dude, it's so hard to pick here. Like I want to say Drew, but I think once again, this is kind of a reoccurring theme here with the show that I don't want to see it change quite yet. Not quite yet. I think that there's still room to kind of build some more investment in this and then really put somebody over the top. And this is a good way to do it, I guess. I'm not typically a big fan of these multi-man matches because I find they can get a little I can't really say in a PJ, a little bit of a cluster F, so to speak. When you start getting over 3 guys, especially, it can get a little funky. But I'm a fan of all 3 guys, and again, another recurring theme. I can be disappointed by whoever wins, but I think that you gotta, and I'll give my prediction right now. I think you got to keep it on Bobby for the time being. But out of these 2 other guys to take it, I think that once again, I think you could have a big payoff with either Drew or Strowman. It's just a matter of who you're going to hitch that wagon to, and I don't think you can go wrong with either guy, honestly.
No, I don't know. I think Bobby's going to win it, but here's not the hot take, but they've been talking about it a lot lately. The guy's heating up. There's a natural story there. I think Drew's going to look poised to win, and Jinder Mahal's going to screw him.
That could be potential too. What are the odds? I don't think anybody's even broached it as a possibility here. What are the odds that maybe this is where Brock comes back and makes his presence felt? That would be huge. I mean, dude, he's not part of the company technically anymore, and he's still one of the biggest draws. You bring Brock back in any capacity, and I mean, and people are watching.
Oh yeah, I don't think we need to talk about how I feel about Saskatchewan's greatest son, Brock Lesnar. Okay, the only competition we've got in that one is
right?
Pardon me, sorry.
He's basically a Canadian now, so
lives there. He fought out of Saskatchewan in a couple of his last UFC fights.
Yep, even UFC 200, I believe he was fighting out of Canada. So very cool.
Because he's a big old stud. Only 2 people will compete. Well, no, there's a lot of great Saskatchewanites. A lot of great Saskatchewanites.
Yeah, but yes, I would be full on for that.
Big fan on that end. I just want Lesnar back, but we can talk about that sooner rather than later. We'll talk about Lesnar at length over the next few weeks as far as Sunday Brunch, as far as all that sort of stuff goes. But I'm going Lashley. And I'm gonna call the shot of Jinder Mahal getting involved.
Yep, that's a good call.
I'm just trying to make a pun there because it sounded like there was a natural fit between Mahal and involvement. No, that's bad. It worked. It's clunky. We'll work on that. We'll fine tune. All aboard slapping meat train. Choo choo. Yeah. I'm in for it. Does Lesnar win then if he returns? No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I want Brock Lesnar to be part of a traditional Survivor Series team again. I want Brock Lesnar to captain Team Raw.
That'd be cool. I'd be up for that.
I just want Brock Lesnar because he's quite literally done it all. He's got the longest Universal title reign of all time. He's checked every box. start throwing Brock into every gimmick match possible. Like, I want him in a Survivor Series match. I want that guy in the Elimination Chamber. I want him in everything ridiculous and wild. I just do.
Yeah.
Good call with Jinder. Again, pretty handsome and smart individual. You can't hinder the Jinder. It's not even don't even attempt. You shouldn't. Not only can he not be hindered on his own, but he cannot be hindered with his two big friends with him now. Yeah. That's dude, I'm just excited. I'm just excited. First Calgarian to win the WWE Championship in 20 years when he won it in 2017. A fact that I always like to throw out there. Picking Lashley doesn't really make any sense for Drew to win in the Thunderdome when Mania was in front of fans. Great point.
Excellent point.
And again, if we want to use they're saying June 16th is when fans are tentatively slated to come back for Raw and SmackDown. So I don't know when the next pay-per-view after that is. I think it's Money in the Bank. Yeah. I just don't know the exact date of it, to be quite honest with you.
Because the rumor for SummerSlam is Madison Square Garden, right? With fans.
Yeah, on August 21st or 22nd, I believe. Yeah. Whichever that Sunday is. But that's neither here nor there. Whichever day either of those pay-per-views happens to fall on, we will be there. Parrish and I will be hanging out, chatting professional wrestling with our wild, wacky, wonderful group of friends, including Mighty Joe Moran, who joined me today on the show. It was an absolute blast. I hope we get 3-man band back together. I would have no issues with that at some point. I really wouldn't. They've talked about it in interviews before as bringing it back as like a serious ass-kicking faction at this point. Why not? Slater's looking jacked too. I think he's injured though. And I think that's just like coming out of my memory of scrolling through Twitter. So if I'm wrong there, I do apologize because like speculating on injuries is about my least favorite thing to do. Mm-hmm. So I apologize on that. And if I'm incorrect, Sandy, check out my awesome Love Wrestling tee and mask you got. Where you can get those, my friend, is on lovewrestling.ca/shop. You can't copy paste the link, but it's a pretty easy type. Head there. You can get any of the merchandise that Sandy mentioned. We've got stickers. We've got all of that sort of good stuff there as well. If you'd like to support, it is appreciated however you choose to do so, whether it's heading to the shop, whether it is heading to twitch.tv/Love Wrestling, as some of you have tuned in there today, whether it's heading to YouTube and tuning in on Love Wrestling CA there. However, again, you guys choose to support. It's appreciated when you take the time on a Sunday morning, whether it's with this, whether it's with Sunday Brunch, or any of the times in between that we happen to be live. It is appreciated. Thank you guys for all of the support. We just love it. Haha, there's the fun pun for you guys. Joe, as we look to close her out here, we're going to give a preview of what we've got going on Love Wrestling. But give us your final thoughts on WrestleMania Backlash.
I'm looking forward to the show in general. And I hope that part of me too is always hoping for surprises. When it comes to professional wrestling, I'm always a big fan of surprises. That's why the Royal Rumble match is typically one of my favorites throughout the course of the year. I would love to see a Brock Lesnar or a Jinder Mahal run in, or some other kind of legitimate surprise. But again, just looking forward to the match in general. I think one thing that we hinted at too is that there's probably obviously going to be at least one pre-show match. Just want to make a brief mention with that too. I could see them doing another matchup between Corbin and Nakamura. They've kind of started a storyline there with Nakamura stealing his crown and whatnot. I think you could have some fun there. But yeah, and just in general, looking forward to the show, and I hope that they put on something worthwhile to watch.
I don't disagree with you at all, my friend. I'm very excited for the afternoon. It's always a good Sunday when you get to hang out, chat professional wrestling, and then, of course, watch from the biggest wrestling promotion, arguably, if you look at AEW sometimes, in the world. Excited for WrestleMania Backlash. Excited to be chatting with all of you guys who hopped on today. Thank you guys for the support. Sandy putting it best. Love Wrestling Squad for life. Yes, for life. That is us. For life. That has never been used before in professional wrestling. We are taking it. We are trademarking it. That might be where we get the second cease and desist. And Jobber, closing her out well, my friend. We still need that Brock Jinder match that was snatched away from us years ago. I was legitimately excited for it. Legitimately very excited for it. Maybe that's something we can talk about next week is great lost matches or matches that were taken away from us, because even this year at Survivor Series, we were slated for Reigns versus Randy Orton that looked to be an absolute banger. And I know they've wrestled before, but that would have absolutely, as the kids are saying, slapped at this point in time.
Yep. Just wanted to make one other mention before we head off too, because I know we mentioned it on the, I believe we mentioned it on the Blowing Off stream last night, but just wanted to make a brief shout out. I didn't want to go without mentioning it. I believe it was yesterday or just slightly before then. We lost a significant name in the world of professional wrestling, Spencer.
Yeah, on Friday afternoon, I believe it was, that we lost New Jack. At least when I found out the news, I was quite literally live on stream chatting with Ella J, which was like a bit of a. It's just gutting, and I think that's the best way I can put it. You know, with any sort of passing, whether it's in professional wrestling or otherwise, like when somebody's significant to you, whether again you knew them personally or otherwise, it's just gutting, and you find those tributes or you find the pieces that just hit you hard. And I know you alluded to it as well, but like that Paul Heyman tribute on Talking Smack yesterday was just very well done. And as he said at the start of it, you know, you never want to you try and avoid. Well, I'm not giving him proper credence on this, so please go watch the promo. But Mr. Heyman said something along the lines of, I try and avoid eulogies as best I can because there's no way to put a positive spin on them. It usually just sucks. And I think that is the best way to put it as far as New Jack goes recently. I would encourage you guys to watch that promo that was masterfully done, as only Paul Heyman can do. But again, for all the wrong reasons, that had to be cut.
Yeah, like he came out of Smoky Mountain Wrestling and then came over to ECW, and then like he was one of these guys. Honestly, the name of his partner, the guys that he came over with, escapes me at the moment. But like when he came to the ECW, like they had like real like legitimate heat. Like they were like getting like death threats. Like it was crazy. Like, you want to talk a guy that really embraced the bad guy character and like just went like balls to the wall all the time, not in wrestling but just in life. New Jack, I mean, god damn. I mean, you got to respect the dude. Like there was some bad stuff there, of course, but I mean,
certainly,
damn, like he's just somebody that like when it comes to that extreme and the extreme style of professional wrestling. I mean, he's somebody that ranks up right near the top, and we're going to be talking more about him coming up at Turnbuckle Talk this week as well with Carl and myself.
And again, to go back to Heyman's words on it, in a promotion of gangstas, he was the most gangstas. So thank you guys once again for taking the time to tune in on a Sunday morning and hang out with myself and Mighty Joe. If you guys want to continue to do so this week, of course, you guys can see all of our social media scrolling along the bottom, but here is where you will be able to catch us. Like I mentioned, tomorrow we got a double dose on the YouTube side of things. Maria Kanellis on my end, and on Josh's we got the Bella Twins. Tuesday we've got Power Out, and I'm joined by Kristen Ashley on the Mind Behind. On Wednesday I've got Jesse joining me. We've got the War Report Between Two Beards on Thursday, and then Friday we've got a lot of great stuff going on. Josh is joining me to hang out on the Mind Behind. He will then be commencing a 10-hour charity stream that you guys can find details right now on. We're going to be putting this up on social media as well, so no need to read quickly. But Josh is going to be streaming for 10 straight hours, listening to the Brie Mode theme song quite literally on repeat in all of the most positive ways that I can put this. It is going to be terrible. And please show him some love because I know he's super passionate about it. We're going to be streaming Blowing Off stream that night. I hope as many of you guys hop in on that as possible because, of course, we're going to be raiding Josh right after and in the most loving way towards us. If there was ever a night not to tune into Blowing Off stream, that would be the one. Show Josh some support. He's a great individual doing great things. And on Saturday doing some incredibly mentally taxing things as well. Only one and only true real badass gangster. I know you're not talking about me on that. That's truly towards New Jack. And thank you as well, JJ, for hopping in. I will enjoy the show. I am certain, whether it is enjoying it because of the actual presentation or enjoying it, breaking it down afterwards. Joe and Parrish, I believe, are going to be here after the show. I believe we might be joined by our rotating cast of characters here on that Love Wrestling Squad for life. And I hope you guys join us when we do so. That's going to be happening right after. I don't have anybody that I know streaming on Twitch. I got one channel that I'll throw us to if you guys would like to throw a bit of a fun one our way. But if anybody's got some suggestions on who to raid tonight or this afternoon or whatever time zone you guys are in, it's 11:59 for me a.m. That's why I'm struggling with the a.m. p.m. balance, is I don't know when it's going to switch over. But if you guys want to throw a raid in the chat, we got a couple of minutes to do so. Otherwise, the Bob Ross channel is streaming a marathon right now. So if we want to throw her
Sure,
over
you can
there,
chill out for a while. Yeah.
well, why not? That's what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen. What? Did they just turn off? No.
Oh,
Yeah, I think they did.
damn.
Bobby Ross killing me. Well, we were talking about James Storm earlier. Impact is whatever. We're gonna just tune out. They can head to Impact. We want to support the little people. We want to support people we know.
Yes.
I don't know anyone at Impact yet. C'est la vie. Love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. We will talk to you guys on the next one. See you soon.